Welcome everybody to our Back to School Care Pack for Parents. This is an initiative from Young Innovators for the parents of my students because I wanted everybody to be at their best health for the upcoming back to school season. So today we have a very special guest, Katie Hartley, who is a performance and mobility enhancement specialist with a Master's of Science in Clinical Nutrition. She's the owner of Katie's Method LLC, a longtime fitness and nutrition coach for both her clients in Miami, Florida, and online. Welcome, Katie. Nice to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure to have you because for our summer care pack for parents, our virtual care pack for parents, we are doing a lot of things that can help parents to boost their health in terms of all facets of health and wellness, and nutrition is such an important topic. So tell me, Katie, what do you do for your company normally, and why do you love nutrition so much?
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. I love nutrition and I love healthy lifestyle because ultimately that's at the end of the day that's what we have, and we want to live the highest quality of life that we can. And so having proper nutrition and like doable goals and activities of the day, it's nice to see people feel better and move better and just feel better, like in every facet of their life. So I guess that's the main reason that I do what I do and enjoy it. Yeah.
Right. Your health is so important. Without your health, you cannot do anything that you want to do. And a person's diet really does impact their risk of contracting the coronavirus. We've seen now that, there have been a lot of research showing the comorbidities and the risk factors related to this virus that we have going around. And talking to the parents of my students, all of them are concerned about the risk to their children. So this upcoming school year, even if you're down in some parts of the states and you're homeschooling for the year, parents are still concerned about the risk factors for the children and what they can do to really optimize their children's health. Up here in Canada, especially in BC, we're all going back to school, and there are different hybrid models depending on the province. So the exposure fear is a great concern for parents, and also the past few months, from all the stress and anxiety from this pandemic, we've all developed unhealthy food habits, and there's been a quarantine weight gain that Katie is going to talk about, and she's going to give us actionable strategies on how to shed this quarantine COVID weight gain. Now, obesity and excess weight is of concern. Katie, what are your thoughts on this, and what does the latest research say about the risk factors for COVID-19?
Um, well, the most recent risk factors is most certainly the obesity, cardiovascular health, and diabetes are on the high risk group. So they don't have conclusive evidence of this with children, but it's suggested to keep their weight down, keep them moving, keep them healthy, because children contract illnesses all of the time. So we just don't know enough. Like the coronavirus is just so new, COVID-19. So we're just trying to mitigate, the likelihood as much as possible. So optimizing their immune function, the children's immune function and health, and keeping their weight in check, keeping them exercising and feeding them healthy foods are optimal here.
Yes, absolutely. Before our current pandemic, we already had a pandemic, the obesity pandemic in North America. And it's not just in North America. I've heard from Katie that it's happening even in Asia and Europe. Our children are getting fatter now. So we're going to go into one of the best things that you can do as a parent to optimize your child's immune system. for the upcoming school year. So Katie, what can we do to help students be at their best health-wise?
Well, I would say for all children, we need to ensure that their lymph is their lymph is moving. They're having good cardiovascular function, and these are really important simply because they have like the T lymphocytes, the things that are like first in our immune support and all of the whole system. So with children, they need to move. Lymph moves via breathing and muscle contraction. So we need to make sure that we're getting some exercise. It's suggested that children have 60 minutes a day. So that's really optimal, and that's what you want to shoot for. Another big thing as far as the foods for the lymphatic system and the gut health, because that is the number one, like as far as immune health, not just in response to a pathogen or a virus or something like that, but in our overall immune system health, the gut is like 70–80% of that importance. And we want to optimize that function as well. So really these two, ironically, go hand in hand along with the cardiovascular system too. They all kind of need very similar things. We need to make sure that the saturated fat content of our foods, even with children, is low. Actually, for children, they really do not need a lot of saturated fat because they're building tissues, and saturated fat kind of hinders that. So you want to get healthy sources of food, ALA, LA, you know, a good amount of omega-3s. You know, we want that mainly from fish is a really good source. Flax seeds are good, chia seeds, that type of things that's incorporated within the diet. And you also want to incorporate just a general multivitamin and mineral. A good quality multivitamin and mineral for children is very good, and really in the industry of how the foods are sourced and made today, they're very nutrient deficit. There's very less, much less than their original form, just because we thankfully we're able to go to the grocery store and get food from, you know, the tropics or you know, far up north. I mean, it's a luxury, but at the same time, we're losing nutrients with that. So a good multivitamin and mineral, especially for children in their developmental stages, is important. And for the gut, for the optimal gut health, you want to ensure that you have some like good fermented foods. You want to ensure that they're getting adequate fiber. Children specifically, you want to make sure that they're getting plenty of vitamin C. The best source of vitamin C across much research is lemons in particular, lemons and limes, but lemons, very good. So they need to be getting adequate water for their respiratory system because they're more prone to dehydration and even mortality than adults just because it hasn't fully developed. So you want to make sure that they're completely hydrated. So with that, easy, incorporate some lemon, you know. The other thing is we want to make sure that they're getting plenty of zinc, plenty of vitamin D, iron, calcium, and most of that is just from lean sources and clean sources of quality proteins. So for the optimal health, those things will help to keep the risk of cardiovascular disease in the future, because we know for a fact that when they're young and they build these habits, right, they build this momentum to their future health. So it's very important during this time to kind of incorporate those healthy habits of drinking plenty of water, low saturated fat, quality proteins, quality vegetables, plenty of vegetables. And I know that veggies are kind of veggies more so than even fruits, you know, kind of the kicker to get these children to eat. But it's really important to incorporate those. And I think one of the best rules of thumb is you provide the food, you know, you provide the options, and then they simply choose when and how much of those foods to eat. So if you're giving them healthy options, that's their options, and they'll eat when they're intuitively hungry. That intuition is very good for them to have. So yeah, I think those are some of the most important things that they can do for their health right now, is just make sure that they're getting adequate nutrients to support those and that immune system and their gut health.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you that parents should start with their kids when they're young. It's so much easier when they're just developing all these habits and you're leading by example. And it's so easy for your children to copy whatever you're doing properly. Now, I never knew that your gut was about 70 to 80% of your entire immune system. I had no idea. So going back to fermented foods, Katie, how often should we be eating fermented foods? Do things like yogurt, kimchi, uh, those things, do they count?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's really a good rule of thumb to incorporate them every day, along with fiber, good fiber sources. So if you're trying to mitigate, like trying to lose weight, because the whole thing about fermented foods is it's simple sugars. That's how the process works. The bacteria, they eat the simple sugars. So you have that, and if you're trying to lose weight, good options to incorporate it without the excess calories is things like dill pickles and sauerkraut. Those are lower calorie options. Higher calorie options would be like kimchi, yogurt, sourdough bread, that sort of thing. So yeah, those are great to incorporate. And as far as like the fiber options, to optimize that digestion and health, you kind of want to stay away from gluten sources fiber, which I know is really encouraged to have like whole wheat, whole grain, but many of them, the gluten is simply it's inflammatory to the whole GALT system linked with the lymphatic system in your stomach. So to kind of mitigate that and get adequate amounts of fiber, you want like things like flax seeds, chia seeds, beans, whole grains that are gluten free, like amaranth, quinoa, that sort of thing, are good options for the fiber.
Okay, and you also mentioned about vitamin C. I always thought that oranges were the best source of vitamin C, but you said lemon. So, what is a good way for parents to, and their children too, to consume lemon?
Well, it's ironic, but just eating a lemon is healthy. And I've recently started doing it, and it's great to curb the appetite. It's super citrusy and tart, so it kind of shocks you. It's a great, like it'll wake you up a bit too. But no, they're just like the most nutrient dense and the most absorbed. So it's like lemon's like number one, but that does not like say that oranges are less. Like oranges, very very good. If the kid will eat oranges, have some oranges. If you don't like lemon, have some oranges. Have some lime. Those are great sources of vitamin C. Just citrus, very good. Yeah.
What about having it in a glass of water? And if you use hot water, I've heard that it's very healthy to drink a glass of lukewarm water with lemon in the morning. But what if you use like hot water? Does that kill any of the vitamin C content in the water?
No, but you don't want no, vitamin C is more dissolved in like long cooking times. I don't think there's much loss in like a warm tea. You may not want it piping hot simply because it's not good for you to probably drink that hot. So warm tea, yeah, the warm lemon with water in the morning is one of the best things you can do to kind of set your digestion. Having water and lemon before every roll as like a good rule of thumb. Just simply having water before every meal is great. So easily incorporating some lemon into that, or some lime, some kind of citrus, even some oranges into that throughout the day will help to ensure you get adequate vitamin C. And just to make a point on that, we hear all of these things about anemia and low iron, and iron is very important with children. Well, ironically, many of them are getting meat, but they're not getting enough vitamin C. And vitamin C is like needed to absorb that iron. So it's really just another, emphasis there on the children needing that vitamin C. So yeah, you want to start that early, and you want to get it as well for your immune system.
Right. Okay. Well, what about vitamin D? What is an easy way to get vitamin D in your body?
Well, in most zones, you can get it most times of the year, throughout the day. Like I live in Florida, so it's a little bit easier for us. It gets kind of complicated, the amount of melanin in your skin, like kind of where you live, like how much ultraviolet, that sort of thing. But just being outside and exposing most of your skin, like 50% plus, to the sun is a great way to get that cholesterol, that vitamin D into your system and for absorption and that development. Then you can also, with fish and different things, get you a supplement, a D3 supplement is a very good option for that as well.
Well, speaking of supplements, I've read before that vitamins are almost like a placebo, and you're just throwing your money down the toilet. Is there any research-backed, scientific consensus about taking vitamins for your health? Are they really that healthy for children to consume?
Um, the vitamins, yes, they are. You just want to make sure that you're getting a good quality vitamin. Now, I can't assure you, like 100%, that like they will be super healthy if they have it, but there's not any harm if it's a good quality supplement. So with a seal of approval, maybe FDA approval, USP, you'll see NSC, like those are good seals of approval, GMP, that are on the product, USDA organic, just to kind of show that they've been checked off, like for quality. Many vitamins are actually bad for you. They can be bad for you. They can have food colorings, which is horrible for children. You look at the ingredients and they're having yellow dyes and like red dyes, and like it's so it's so bad. So they actually oftentimes they can do more harm than good. So really look at that label, and an easy check and balance is just that seal of approval. Another thing I want to hit on before we leave the whole vitamin D is, vitamin D, like fortified foods is also a good option. I know we see that all the time, but I just kind of want to point that out before we completely leave it. But that's to add more variety, right? Because it's not in a lot of foods like, other minerals and vitamins. So.
Right. Well, we have some questions from our parents. So we got these questions about their biggest concerns. Let's see here, regarding nutrition. Okay, so can you see these questions on the screen, Katie?
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the first one is, I just don't have time. So this mom often uses frozen vegetables and microwave meals. How bad is it really if she does it often for her children?
So the frozen vegetables, anything that you can get that's fresh, more fresh, is better. Frozen vegetables are processed, but not to the excess of microwave meals. So I would try to stay away from microwave meals. They're like the most heavily processed of foods. I would try to stay away from that as much as possible. Even a packaged food that you add water to would be a better option than the frozen like microwave meals.
Right. And is it really that bad using a microwave to cook your meals versus using a stovetop?
No, that was really a lot of hype. It wasn't based on fact at all. So the radiation that is in microwaves, for one, it's not that strong that it would actually harm you on an energetic level, cellular level. It's not that strong. But any harm that has been received from it is because maybe it was a faulty microwave. Maybe there were things like the seal was damaged, something like that. So you want to ensure that you get a microwave with the seals intact, that completely latches when you close it. You want to make sure that all of those things are good to go. And also compounded is the nutrients. They say the nutrients are depleted when you use it. And it's like almost contaminating your food with some foreign body, but it's really not. What you want, a rule of thumb is you want to heat food for a short amount of time as you possibly can. So the microwave is actually very advantageous in this, right? Because we can cook things rather quickly in the microwave and expose it to heat for a shorter amount of time. There's vitamins that are just depleted with an exposure of heat. So it's going to be the same on the stove, the oven, the microwave, all of that. So I think microwaves have gotten a really bad rap, and in the end, they've kind of led us to other forms of convenient foods, which are oftentimes less nutritious. So I would not avoid the microwave simply because there's not any supporting evidence of that is harmful or somehow contaminates your body with something. It doesn't happen.
Okay, so good to know. A good rule of thumb is to cook foods as for a shorter time as possible because cooking does actually remove the nutrients. Where do all the vitamins go if you're boiling something? Does it stay in the water or does it evaporate?
Yeah, no, it just completely evaporates. It's gone. It destroys it. It
Oh,
destroys
wow.
them. Yeah, yeah. So vitamin C is actually one that is highly susceptible to heat. So yeah, you don't want to cook. You will lose significant. It's like potatoes and everything. That's the top one to be lost in whenever you cook a potato. So yes, there's just some nutrients that will be destroyed by high amounts of heat. Now, another thing that you can do to kind of reduce the amount of time of a food in the microwave is if you have something large and stiff, a vegetable or something like that, instead of cooking it whole, we'll just take a carrot, for example. Say I'm trying to soften a carrot. Stick this huge carrot in the microwave in some water. It's going to take a long time for it to soften versus if I cut it up into smaller pieces, and steam it with some water in the microwave. So that's a good idea as well. Just try to reduce the amount of time that the food has to be exposed to heat.
Okay, good to know. Well, our second question from our parents is about picky eaters. So this mom's sons love junk food, but at the same time, they're also very picky. So what are some strategies that she can use, some quick and easy strategies that she can use to create highly nutritious meals and snacks for her picky boys?
Mm. They're always picky. They love sugar. Well, you know, so for young kids, like one of the best things I say to do is just to try to make it fun, make it as colorful as possible, exciting as possible. Maybe some teaching in there as well. Just get them really excited about the whole process, and involve them. Involve them. So I've seen it. I've seen it before where the parents will have them just in the kitchen, and it's like such it's so tedious to teach them things, but don't steer away from that. You really want to teach them and involve them and take the extra time to do that. And we're stuck at home like much of the time now, so it's a great opportunity to involve them and really teach them some skills for the future. So that's a good way. Colorful, nice shapes, having fun with it. Maybe mom and daughter or son and dad, whatever, get like a matching apron or, play games when they cook, you know. That's, that's a great way to do it. And also like the kids don't have to know if there's something in particular that the kids just like I don't like it, and that it's just like, okay, if I do it this way, they can't taste it, but if they see me put it in there, like they're never gonna eat it, So little things like, when they're not looking or something, you can hide nutritious foods in there, So yeah, things like flaxseed, like you can't even taste it, but it adds a good amount of fiber, So little tweaks like that are good as well.
Right. Well, what about for the older children? What if this mom has teenage boys? What can we do then to improve their healthy eating habits?
Teenage boys. Well, I think as they get older, like it's like they're more independent. don't really want to be told what to do. They never want to be told what to do, but it's really like they need actually to take on a responsibility factor and making their own choices. So I think like maybe incorporating some cooking shows with them, getting excited. You can expand on nutrition discussions about food. Really kind of talk to them on an adult level about that. Maybe make it more applicable to them, you know, for a sport that they're doing or a goal that they have. Kind of connecting the two dots to where if they see it serving them on a personal level, then they'll be more inclined maybe to want to eat healthier foods and to be more involved.
Okay, very good. And the last question from a parent, they're asking if there should be any major nutritional differences in what they feed their 5-year-old versus their 11-year-old.
Well, in they're still in developing years. I mean, at 5 years old, they need 4 more calories and protein than they do at 11. They're growing at a much faster rate. I would still say the rule of thumb of, you know, giving them the options and letting them choose when and how much, you know, to consume is a good rule of thumb across both. Having a good multi. Yeah, it really, the main difference is just the 11-year-old is a little bit more like they're not as susceptible to dehydration, right? So the water may be more important at a younger age. The younger age needs more percentage grams per kilogram of the protein and the calories. But if you want to still keep it lower fat, you want to still keep it, you know, vegetable rich, fiber rich, you know, clean, lean proteins, you know, you still, all of those things are important for both, you know, and hopefully, you know, at 8 years old and 10 years old, like they're really getting in a good pattern. I mean, 11 years old, they just kind of continue with that, you know, and just edit the amounts, you know, a little bit.
Yeah, right. So those are some really useful answers. Thank you, Katie, for that. Well, now let's get into our challenge for our parents. So this week is all about nutrition. We would like to encourage you to, one, try a new veggie or fruit this week with your family. As Katie says, variety is so important. Try something fun and new. Post about it in our group and let us see what you're doing. Our second challenge is to have at least 3 to 4 sit-down meals with your family this week if you don't already do so. If you're already sitting down with your kids for dinner and they have their phones off or face down, then well done, bravo. You know, family time is so important, right? Katie, what is your professional opinion on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity to bond with the family over a meal. I mean, it's been done in cultures throughout the centuries, you know, it's kind of ingrained in us, like connection and not just about the food and scarfing something down. I mean, it helps with digestion as well because it helps you eat slower, you have conversation, there's, you know, there's not an obsession with the food in and of itself. And yeah, I mean, the more we can sit down as a family together, especially right now during COVID, you can go for it, you know?
Right, for sure. And our last challenge to parents this week, cook a new recipe. If you have a young child, maybe involve them with the cooking too, or even with a teenager. Cook a new recipe with a superfood from Katie's guide. So Katie has a super helpful resource for us, a guide on you know, control healthy food considerations with easy and sustainable tips on how to maximize yours and your children's health and nutrition. And it talks about portion control food labels, variety, immune support, reducing anxiety, and all of the best resources that you can use right now. So please do all 3 or as many of these challenges as you can this week and post about it in the group. Katie has very generously agreed for us to give you her personal email and her phone number. I will be writing that for you in our group. So if you have any nutrition related concerns or you want to, learn more about how you can maximize your family's health through nutrition, please get in touch with Katie. She is available, um, through her website, and she she is very busy these days with her clients, advising them on their nutrition and fitness, of course. But she also has available for our community several shopping guides for choosing healthy foods. So it helps you to decipher all the lingo and confusion when you're out shopping for your family at the supermarket. So these are amazing resources from Katie for you especially. So don't miss out. Make sure you take advantage of this. And our giveaway for this week is a one-on-one nutrition consultation with Katie. This is what you can win. What an amazing prize. So make sure you participate this week, and then we will be drawing one lucky winner from our community to win this prize with Katie. So she's going to teach you all about what you can do for your specific situation and advise you personally on healthy nutrition for your family, because as we know, your diet it impacts your entire life essentially, and also your risk of contracting COVID. So thank you so much, Katie, for your time and for sharing your knowledge with us today. It's been very enlightening for me. um, Everybody, I wish you all the best with your health and nutrition this week. So don't forget to do the challenge, and make sure you tell us all about it and what's working for you, what you like or don't like. Okay. So thanks again, Katie.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Bye, everyone.